Welcome to Amplify, the podcast for accounting marketers. I'm your host, Mike Jones, CEO and managing partner of Resound, a brand consultancy for B2B professional services. And today I am super excited to dive into the intersection between marketing and HR in modern accounting firms. And joining me today is Andrea Sardone, Director of Marketing for PBMares. Andrea brings over 30 years of marketing and communications to our conversation today. And she has expertise in challenger brands, digital marketing, and creating teams to support those marketing efforts. I think that experience that you have is going to be a really great addition to the conversation today. Andrea, thank you so much for coming on the show. We're going to jump right in.
Thanks for having me, Mike. I'm excited about this.
This is great. I'm really excited too. So this whole season is going to be about the intersection of HR and marketing in accounting firms. So I think we can just start right at the top and say, why should a marketer even care about recruiting and retention in their firm?
Great first question. Just returning from a partner meeting. So I got my words down here. We should care because if you don't have staff, you can't service clients. If you can't service clients, you don't have a firm. It is part and parcel of the same thing. A good client experience is predicated on a good employee experience. So, I think that's kind of where we are right now and sort of understanding that. I think right now, HR folks, So for marketers, this is a familiar territory, right? I mean, you need to drive demand. For HR, this is an unprecedented situation for them. There's always been more supply than there was for the jobs, and so they, basically, I was teasing our marketing director. We were driving together, and I said, you guys are just used to shooting fish in a barrel. You had the pick, metaphor. Right? It was like you had the customers lined up, you had the goods. Mm-hmm. I said, now the equation's flipped. And they just have not been in that situation. There are people that have been in HR for, just as long as I've been in marketing, and they've never seen like, I don't have anybody that wants my job. What am I supposed to do? So I think this is an opportunity for marketing professionals to say, okay, here's how you manage this type of an environment. Here's how you drive demand. Here's how you create brand. I learned, the new job candidate is not motivated by money. It's sort of like, I want that job because I want that money. There's a lot of factors that go into how you decide which job you want to take. So it truly is a buyer's market right now. We being the seller. I see this as, I don't want to, diminish its stature, but this is another marketing problem. So how do we apply what we know as marketers to this problem? How do we drive demand for our product? Now our product is a job, but let's think about it as an experience. So there's the sort of the transition now. It's not a job, it's an experience. And there's a lot of things that go into that experience. So that's kind of where I think we have those skills. We have the experience in doing that.
Yeah, I think those are spot on. Kind of, and obviously you're seeing that firsthand. But yeah, it's this like taking a marketing approach to HR for maybe the first time for some firms, right? As you said, like there's just not the demand that there used to be. And so you have to think about it more as like driving demand, even maybe perhaps through the brand itself, and saying, hey, what are we doing? What culture are we bringing to the table that's really going to attract people? Obviously there's a whole lot of other things to get in there around benefits and how you work and where you work from and all that fun stuff. But so as you've been seeing this, you've been practicing it, how do you see marketing and marketing teams within firms enhancing what HR is doing? What's providing kind of some opportunity to really start driving that demand?
So yeah, I mean, I think the first thing is, and it was interesting. So Katie Tolan, I think, is probably well known to this audience, and she and I were in a group, and I created a marketing plan for HR, and I was sort of hitting my head against the wall, like, why don't they know what to do with this marketing plan? And she was like, they've never seen a marketing plan, Andrea. And wise words, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to know my audience, and here I've just like completely got blindsided. So I did go back and I'm like, do you know what to do with this? And they're like, we have no idea what to do here. So I think this is, the first thing is, the first step is get together with your HR team, talk about the concept of what marketing is. So let's think about marketing as, acquisition and retention. And I do want to make sure that we talk about retention, because that's the other part of this equation here. And really, I mean, you're teaching a course in marketing, basically. You're teaching Marketing 101. You are teaching it in, a live environment. So it's not static. You're not in a classroom. It's like, okay, you're going to learn it this morning and we're going to apply it this afternoon. So I think that's, the first step is like, you got to meet them where they are. The marketing teams may need to take over a little bit in terms of sort of getting this stuff going. I think that, this is where we have, an understanding of technology, how we can incorporate our marketing technologies into this. I think there's, the creativity. I mean, the sort of classic definition of what people think marketing does. So let's be creative about things. I think, what marketing does best is they know their market, they know their audience. And so, the first question you start, okay, what is your first question? Okay, who are we trying to attract? Well, to say, well, we're trying to attract accountants, or we're trying, we want a senior associate, or we want this. So it's like, oh no, we need to talk about the humans, because these are all human beings and they have the same sort of behaviors and feelings and as any consumer. So think about you're shopping for a car, or, just put yourself in their shoes and, let's find out what's important to them. Again, of course, earning a salary is important, but, what are those other things? So there are rational things, and then there are those emotional things. And I think that's where, we know how to use tactics to, hit on one of those factors. And then, the other huge concept is it's not going to be one thing. It is not an if then. These folks are shopping for a job. So let's just think about shopping. How do you shop? How do you buy a toaster, you do your research on it, right? You don't, it's like everything comes with a review. So, how are you viewed in the market? What are people saying about you? Are you known to the people that need to know about you? So that's a classic, nobody knows about us. Well, some people don't need to know about your market, your accounting firm. I mean, it's the important people. So where is that? Who is that group? What do they know about you? Is it good? Is it bad? Okay. If it's good, that's great. If it's bad, then, okay, we got to sort of reset and try to, interrupt that story or disrupt. The other big thing here is it is not just the HR department or the marketing department. That, there is, the firm has, a responsibility in aspects of recruiting. And, one of the things that I go back to sort of in my experience, I was marketing director, chief marketing officer at William & Mary at the School of Business there. We had the same sort of, we needed to attract people into our MBA program. So similar types of things. There were more spots than there were these qualified candidates. So how do you create sort of a community, a marketing community to bring these people in, and understanding what those stages, what is that journey of the candidate? What are the stages that they go through? So great example if you're looking at a person that's coming just out of school, no experience, working on their CPA, and it's probably not a good idea to have them meet with a 50 or 60-year-old partner that's been doing it for longer than these people have probably been alive. There's no connection there. There's no, where is that connection? People need to see themselves. I mean, a young person doesn't really see themselves in somebody that might appear to be their grandmother or grandfather. So, what are those stages of the journey? Where are they? What are they thinking about, and at what time? So I think, again, the sort of classic marketing, okay, customer journey. All right, let's just take customer out and put candidate journey. Yep. Very, very similar types of behaviors there. So, talking with your HR teams and just asking them those questions, because they've probably never thought about it because they haven't had to think about it.
Yep.
So helping them start to articulate in their minds, how do we, how am I going to focus on this? So, then you sort of introduce the concept of the segmenting, right? Mm-hmm. So you've got, new associates, you've got senior associates. Okay, those are two different strategies there. You're attracting two different kinds of people. So I think to get them started, it's not going to be a one size fits all. It's not going to be, we just need to put a new page up on the website and they're going to come to us. They are not. We need to create demand, and we've got to put ourselves in market in such a way that resonates with one aspect of their, job search criteria.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if there's even an opportunity to sit with HR and build some personas for those target candidates. Yeah.
So I threw the P word at them, and they're like, what? And I was
you got to ease them in.
Yeah. Give me your typical, sort of, let's just talk about this. Let's put names to them. I want to, here's Mike, and Mike is in the middle of his career. So, it really is. I have to stop myself because, I've lived and breathed this stuff for 30 years, and I have to stop and think not everybody knows all this. And so you really have to unwind it to a point where they're getting it. Now, again, like I said, they're in live, TV. Okay, I don't have time to sit through Marketing 101. I just need to get this done. So I think that's, again, where the marketing team probably steps over, and really sort of leads them through this. Still at the heart, they know once they've, landed that person, okay, now it's, now it's up to you. However, the marketing doesn't stop. And in fact, we were just talking about in the car ride, that candidates in the pipeline, even if they don't accept our offer, let's keep them, because you never know what happens. And so it's like, there you go. There they are again, or wow. Yeah, and maybe we can help them, right? So it wasn't the right fit. That for whatever reason they decided wasn't the right fit, but let's just continue to help them. Let's help them succeed. Yeah. So all of those very sort of fundamentals, and then you get to the big, the value proposition, and that is the big stumper, because it used to be the value proposition is, we're going to pay you this much salary and you get this much vacation, and these are the benefits. There you go. Way, way, way different now. People measure value in so many different ways. If anybody attended the AIM conference in Louisville a few weeks ago, and just the spectacular presentation by, I cannot remember his name now, but the value graphics guy, those 56 values, 57 values, all of that starts to play a part in how you will attract people.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, we work with some of our clients on the marketing side of this, like, attributes, benefits, values pyramid, right? How do the attributes of your service and products ladder up into these benefits for your clients? And then how does that ladder up into their core values? As clients, they have values that they want to live out. And how can you help them reach them either at an organizational level or at a personal level? And it's like, you almost have to do the same thing for, potential employees, right? And looking at, like, how do we match? Yeah, we have these attributes, right? We have these things that we can offer. They're going to ladder up into these benefits for these people. But then how do we get it even all the way up to, like, hey, they have a personal core value beyond any of this, that if we can link those dots for them, they go, why would I not work here? Right. Like if their core value is, I don't know, like just time with my family. Right. And if you can kind of reverse engineer that and go, okay, well, what benefits do we offer that are going to help them achieve that core value? And it starts to kind of put the dots together. But yeah, it's so interesting, like HR becoming a lot more marketing-esque.
And you kind of want to say, okay, well, welcome to my world. And then you feel, I mean, it's like, I totally understand their pain now. And you got, folks, bearing down on you, where are my staff? I mean, it's, we are all facing that situation in our firms. We don't have enough staff to service clients. People are overworked. So now you get into the work-life balance. So now you're getting into retention territory. And, it's, as you are positioning yourself, also think about sort of that, okay, once you got them, now you got to keep them. So that, obviously the whole truth in marketing and sort of that transparency. And it's like, well, you got me in this way, but, I got a stack of 1040s on my second week, and I'm working out of
about the hours.
I'm working out of, my house here, and I don't see anybody. And, and that's very difficult too. I mean, that's some of the consideration too, is your, sort of the environment now. Are you a hybrid? Are you in office? Are you completely remote? And, that starts, there's factors there too that you're going to have to overcome. So that, how you put, the employee culture, the, office culture, and give them that, as well. So that's sort of, you get into that retention. I heard story after story of, we gave them an offer, they came to work for 2 weeks, and then they bailed on us. And it's, it's just like unbelievable. Like, we can't, they're leaving out the back door faster than they're coming in the front door. So, one of the things that, Robin, our HR director, and I talked about was, maybe we need to flip the equation a little bit. Maybe we need to look at the retention part a little more closely. So now you start getting into, other people in that, sort of journey, the employee journey now, and, what is happening internally, that if they chose to work for us, they then now are choosing not to work for us. So I think that becomes, another factor or variable in this, equation, and trying to solve. So are we going to solve for one or the other, or try to solve for all three? And that is the other, I guess, sort of guidance or advice is, okay, you can't do everything all at once. So let's try to, start deciding where are the biggest benefits. And, as marketers, I mean, we don't market every single service in the same way. We don't throw it all out there. So, okay, where are you going to start?
Yeah. Kind of having a strategic approach about where maybe there's the most opportunity. And, I wonder if there's even just thinking like, when you work with, you're looking at your client list and you're trying to decide, well, what are we going to do? Are we going to focus on demand, right, and driving new business in, or are we going to, with our limited capacity, right, we can only do so much, or are we going to focus on maybe improving the experience that we have with current clients and growing those accounts beyond where they're at now? And, the old adage is, I think it's like, 20% of your clients is 80% of your revenue, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And your best opportunity for growth is often with the people that you're already working with. And I wonder if that can even be applied on the employee side too, as you look at staff and like, hey man, if we could fix some of the retention issues, if that's where there's a lot of problem, as much as we do need to draw new people in, how much easier is that when we've got a kind of stable, group of people who are really like, hey, we're here, we want to be here, we're putting in and we're giving, 110% because we really love what we're doing.
Right. Yeah. And that is exactly, what we talked about, that, how do we focus on that retention part? Because, that in our world right now, everything is known, right? I mean, it's sort of, there's no hiding. Somebody says on Glassdoor, I left PBMares 3 weeks ago, and here's why. It's all taken in. They're all inputs. Really, really great, funny story. Driving back, partner who a year ago questioned, why do we need a website? Nobody ever comes to a website, right? So
I've never heard that one before.
It's 2021 and I have to explain the website. So now that same partner is coming back a year later and like, our website, we need to fix our website for our hiring. And it's and so I was like, and they're like, can you believe it? We have some blah, blah, blah. And I was like, hey, I'm taking a victory lap, because a year ago, that guy didn't think that a website was important. So, maybe a little bit off topic, but funny nonetheless that, people see. But, so the reason why I brought that up is that the idea of, well, all we need is a website. It's like, no, understand what sources or where people are getting their information and prioritize it. And yes, a website's important. I mean, I'm not saying forget about it, but at what point do they hit your website after they've done research? Where are they going that got them to your website? And so one would assume that once they hit the website, they have not been turned off by it. So, understand that, again, that journey that is, of that persona, of that, segment, of that person, and, build it, put yourself in their shoes. I'm looking, here's what I would do. Here are the steps I would take. One of my favorite lines that I told people throughout the years is, everything communicates. So if you say nothing, you're saying something. Be very deliberate and very intentional about what you're saying and how you're saying it, because people are reading it, and don't leave it up to them to conclude something, because they may conclude something that you don't want them to conclude. So have that sort of airtight message. Understand, like, I'm putting this out there. This is what I expect. Don't try to do too much with one thing. Sort of break it down. And again, always sort of testing and getting feedback. I mean, clients or candidates that don't take your offer, ask them why, learn from them. Listening to the market. I say you never go wrong when you listen to the market. You listen for, where can I be better? What can I do better? I think we're all really challenged with, what do we say to them to make them want to come work for us? Well, ask them.
Yeah.
So I think that's the other thing is, they'll tell you exactly what they want. So and then, take it in. I know it's very easy for somebody that's not sitting in the hot seat of HR to say those things. But it is, fundamental. Ask the market, listen to what they have to say, and then figure out if you can do that. And then, roll it up and make your best, proposition you can to that group, to that person.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. If you had to draw a line between marketing and HR, how would you draw it? I know this is like the $1 million question.
Yeah. Marketing doesn't know anything about healthcare benefits. Talk to marketing. There's the line.
I like that line.
The line is totally blurred. And again, and in many ways, I believe that there should be no line between HR and the rest of the firm, marketing and the rest of the firm. Every person in a firm has access to LinkedIn, has access to social media, can play a part in, sort of that referral pipeline, talking about the firm in such a way. So, social media and really LinkedIn, I think, would be one place where I would say, if you need to pick one social media platform, go to LinkedIn. Get your firm engaged on LinkedIn. The more they see people talking about the firm, sharing, you start getting a sort of a flavor of the type of people that work there, what they value. The line moves all the time. It's blurred. When it comes down to the actual onboarding, hiring, all that stuff, we know nothing about Department of Labor standards, that sort of thing. But I don't know that it's there. It's dotted if there is a line. Other really, really funny story. The HR director and I look very similar to each other. So we are constantly, mistaken for the other. And it just gets kind of comical where we start calling each other the other person's name just to really mess them up. So in our firm, that line is really non-existent because it's, so probably not applicable to most firms out there, but
but I think there's probably some underlying truth of just that there's a partnership, right? I think if you're going to do it really well, you treat it like a partnership, and HR and marketing are not adversarial. There's not these really hard lines, and how do we just support each other and make recruitment and retention something that we really can do well as a firm?
Then there's that sort of internal marketing. So, the internal, external marketing that goes on in firms. And really, again, it is teaching them, helping them, sort of deal with what they're dealing with. Job descriptions, what are people, so back to the everything communicates, are you looking for, staff accountant, or are you looking for, and here's a great story. They put their ads in, various publications, print and online, and, they just started toying around with, race car driver needed, and it got people's attention. And somebody wrote to them and said, I had no idea a CPA firm had any sense of humor. And it got people's attention. So the other thing is, don't be afraid to inject some humor, to
Mm.
inject some life into, what you're trying to say, just again, it's human to human interaction. It's
Mhm.
relationship building. It's engagement. It is, a courting process. I mean, it's, that's cliche now. Nobody gets married on the first date. They're not going to, read the ad, I'm going to apply. They're going to
Yeah.
see the ad, or they're going to see the opportunity, or they're going to hear about something, and they're going to, check
Mm.
you out, kick the tires. So don't be afraid to take some risk there.
Mhm.
And, I think that, firms get kind of a bad rap of, maybe boring, or, disrupt. I mean, people like a little disruption. They want to
Yeah.
see somebody, a firm that, has a personality, and,
Mhm.
put some personality into it.
Yep. Yeah, and I think there's probably more personality in most firms than outsiders would realize.
Totally.
And a lot of it's just, you almost have to exaggerate that in the
Mm-hmm.
communication outwardly.
Yeah.
I love that metaphor of, and it can certainly, it's a metaphor. It breaks down really badly near the end, but I love the metaphor of dating, right?
Yeah.
In terms of either marketing to talent or marketing to clients,
Mm-hmm.
and just treating it like this. You're in the initial, like the initial engagement, right? The first piece of communication. If you think about, like, you meet somebody, you see somebody across a room for the first time, right? What gets them even like close to like interested in following up, having some kind of conversation? And it's
Mm-hmm.
usually like you being a little bit extra overt
Yeah.
about your personality and what
Yeah.
your strengths are and what's
Uh-huh.
interesting about you, whether that's, you're super athletic on one
Uh-huh.
side,
Right.
or maybe you've got the best sense of humor in the room,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe you're really knowledgeable about something specific. And I think firms have a lot of opportunity to lean in on that, find that thing that's like, this is us, and just
Um,
run with it.
Yeah, another. I wish this was my idea, but I ran into a marketer at AIM, and someone told me the story, and then everybody was telling the story, and so they did billboard ads, and I'm not a real fan of billboards, period, but
Yeah.
some of them, but billboard ads, and something like, if when you see BS, you think balance sheet, right? And it's just like, that's hilarious. And apparently
That's
she kind of went
awesome.
out on a limb. If you think balance sheet when you see the letters
Yeah.
BS, we want to talk to you.
Yep.
So she took several of those. So use some of that, some of that lingo,
Mhm.
and sort of turn it on its ear.
Mhm.
Again, inject that personality. Another story that we were chatting about is going to these campus career fairs, and the swag that's given away, and it's just so funny how you got to know your audience.
Mhm.
Okay, so does a 24-year-old really want a canvas tote bag, like the ones that the middle-aged people take to the grocery store, like those? It's like
Nope.
there's a disconnect. It's like, you don't know who I am, you don't know what's important to me.
Yeah.
So again, and be deliberate in that. So if you're going to talk about, we're going to put you on a path to partner, here's your umbrella, what does that mean? What message are you sending me? Maybe instead of that, you give them a calendar in 2035, and you mark the date when they make partner, or so that's more meaningful, like, we really mean this. And so so I think think about what you're saying, match your actions to what you're saying, match your things, your trinkets or baubles, to what you're saying, to reinforce, so that when they see that, and which is all it is, it's just a reminder. It's reminding them of that experience that they had with you. It's reminding them of, oh yeah, they've got that, they really are, they want me to become a partner.
Mm.
So and that's what they're thinking about when I start. So be careful and look for those misfires or those miscues. Again, talk to people, go to the people within the firm that are that you want to, of those people that you want to hire, and talk to them about what's important. Tell me how these people think. Really try to understand what makes these folks tick.
That's really good. Really good. How do you talk to the rest of the firm? We talk a lot about, talking and working with HR, but how do you take that conversation to the rest of the firm?
Yeah. So that's a lift. It's, I have no, figures at the top of my head here, but my guess would be that many people working at a firm probably, maybe, okay, I'll just take my age group, Gen Xer. Here's what mattered to me. Here's how I got my job. Why can't they just get with it? And and I think this is where marketing and HR working together helps reset and disrupt the story. So the story is HR is not finding people. HR is not finding people. Okay, well, you're right. And kind of listen to what they're saying and then figure out ways to disrupt. You never go wrong with some data. You're talking to really sort of data focused people, logical people. So, bring in some data from the market, give them sort of that, here's what it's looking like. Here's where here's what the industry looks like. We're not going to be this kind of outlier that has no employment problems. The entire world, it's all you hear is great resignation. And, we unfortunately cannot be the only firm that's not in that. We are part of that. So I think that you ask them for their help and you give them, you explain why you need them to help you, which gets you into sort of this new environment. And then you give them a very specific job to do. I was sitting in a presentation and, all the things that you can do. You're talking to 50 partners in a room and all these things. And it's like, it would be like, telling me like, go do a SOC audit. It's like, I don't know where to start. I know what it is. So I think be very deliberate. I think find the allies and give them jobs, send them off, have them do what you need them to do, and then have them bring that back in that experience. I think that you absolutely must engage, the entire firm or pockets of the firm to help. It is not an isolated activity. It's not the same old, there's HR hires and fires people, right? Everybody hires, everybody fires, because it's the culture and it's the experience. Or, we lose people. It's not because, of one person. It's an entire experience that either failed them or just wasn't meeting, what they were expecting. It's a tough one. It's not easy when you've got people putting in 80 hours of work because they're down 2 staff people. And, like, would you just go on LinkedIn and help me? It's like, that's, so I think pick your allies, pick a few people to be your, tiger team. I was toying around with this idea of, 100 candidates in 100 days. Get a group of people together, make it in some ways kind of a friendly competition. We're sort of organized in different regions. We're in 3 states and we have 3 regions. Did the coastal region bring in more? I mean, make it a little competition. And the winner, the office, the winners get a dinner. I don't know what the winners get employees. How about that? Winner gets an employee. So,
that's a good prize.
Again, like, we talked about, the elephant, you eat it one piece at a time or something. Somebody used that at the meeting just recently, and it's kind of an awful visual, but yeah, break it down, decide here's how we're going to attack this. Our HR director actually did a really great thing, and she worked with our service line leaders and created this kind of matrix called the critical roles. So she knows what she needs to fill first, and this is where the priority is. This is where data becomes your friend, because now you can say, I'm filling. Because when it's like, well, why aren't you filling my positions? Well, because those 4 positions are attached to $350,000 of work, and so I've got to fill those versus this. So data becomes your friend in these situations where everybody wants their people, but it is a first things first, and where can we bring the most value? Sort of at once or at the same time.
That's a really good insight. This has been really good, Andrea. This is
well, I'm glad. It's been fun.
I think this is gonna be a great start to a much longer conversation we're gonna have over the next few episodes,
right?
And in this series. And I just so appreciate you coming on and sharing your experience and your expertise. I think this is a great setup for our other guests as well, as they bring their own unique flavors of experience. So,
sure. Well, anytime.
I appreciate it.
This was fun. Time flew by.
I know it does. It so flies. Is there anything that you want to plug? Anything coming up? Or I'm sure you have roles open.
We're hiring.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, real easy. LinkedIn. If you haven't put the little banner, I'm hiring, put it on your LinkedIn picture.
Oh yes. Love that.
I get friends of mine that like, what do you need? So, do those little things, become sort of a, what is it? Ex officio HR person, tell the story, talk about it. So, become that extension, engage others, give people those tools. We're hiring. Virginia's great. Come visit us in Virginia, but we're also in Maryland and North Carolina. So shout out to everybody in those states too. Looking forward to a fun summer, getting out a little bit. As far as plugging, send me all your clients. How about that? There you
go.
Terrible. Yeah, awful things. It was fun. And anybody out there, contact me. Best way is LinkedIn. I'm out there. Connect with me, message me. Love to chat. As you can tell, I love chatting about this stuff. So I'll talk anytime.
That's great. Thank you, Andrea. And we'll make sure that that's in the links in the show notes for your LinkedIn, and people can reach out and get connected there. So thank you again so much for coming on. Right. This is it for another episode of Amplify, the podcast for accounting marketers. Thank you so much for all of our listeners listening in today. If you like this episode, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to this podcast. It would really help us out in reaching more people and just really making sure that people love this podcast. If you want to find out more about Amplify and all of our episodes, head over to accountingmarketing.org. You'll find the podcast under publications in the main menu. If you'd like to find out more about me and my brand consultancy, Resound, head over to resoundcreative.com or email me at mike@resoundcreative.com. And until next time.